Hey, and welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Hour. I'm one of your hosts here. I am Robert Lupo Outdoors, and our faithful sidekick here, because he's our sidekick for this week, and then next week I'll be his sidekick. That my good friend Jason from the Rogue Banshee. How are you doing, Jason?
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, it's kind of funny how this kind of switches back and forth. I got an email like a while ago. They're like, I don't get the whole switching back and forth. Like we've only explained it like 3 times on the show. But yeah, it's just it's kind of cool. I love being here. I love being on both sides, and I love being here with the live audience, and of course with this knucklehead right over here too.
We have a third person. Wait, where? Oh, what? Yeah.
Oh God.
This is going to be a really interesting show because we're going to talk about concealed carry, um, different things that
Or well, not necessarily concealed. It could be open carry, depending.
it could be open carry, depends on where you are, but different carrying options. Here in Florida, it's concealed. We have concealed carry, and we do have open carry, and I can talk about that in a few seconds here. But um, your options for carry vary drastically, and I carry all the time. It's like the old saying, when you go out into the woods, you bring a weapon with you because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Um, but let's just talk a little bit more about Florida. I said I'll talk about here in a few seconds. It's been a few seconds. Here, oh, by the way, hey, Gizzard Gary, how you doing? He joined us here
Hey, you know what,
in the chat.
Lupo, you're gonna meet Gizzard Gary at SHOT Show in the media room.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Gizzard's gonna be at SHOT Show. I saw him post out there on Instagram. Hey Gizzard, what's going on, man? And Gizzard's got a great live show on Sundays. That's a fun time.
Oh,
But
I'll have
hey,
to check it out.
thanks for joining us, Gary.
Yep. And I can announce that both Jason and I applied for our badges for SHOT Show, and we both got our badges. So we are both absolutely going to be at SHOT Show this next year, and we're both very excited about that. Although theoretically, registration opens in October.
No, it's fully open now.
Oh, it's fully open now.
It's fully open, even though they said October. It's so funny because they did the same thing last year. They said, "Oh, registration in October." Then at the end of September, they opened it up. It's like, okay. And DJ Play Nice has joined us there. Hey, what's going on, brother? Thanks for stopping by.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. So, all right, to continue. So here in Florida, where I currently live, it's concealed carry, and then as of July 1st this year, it's now permitless concealed carry.
It's not hard to get that out, isn't it?
It is. It's a tongue twister. So
I know when we passed it here, I was like, yeah. I have a hard time with the permitless carry. I've said it so many times.
Carry. So yeah, as of July 1st, you can now carry in the state of Florida, if you're a Florida resident, a firearm concealed without a permit. And people are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna let my permit expire," and I'm like, "Don't do that."
Yeah, keep that permit.
Yeah, I will constantly renew my permit every 5 years, because with your permit, you can when you purchase a firearm, when you pass the background check, you don't have a waiting period. You can take your firearm immediately that moment. Two, the Florida concealed permit is recognizable in a lot of different states here in the United States, except for places like Chicago, New York, California, you know, the
all,
state.
all the places, all the places they hate guns.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. But what I wanted to talk about was um, briefly is open carry here in Florida. You are allowed to open carry under the following circumstances while you're camping, right? So
Mhm.
in the campsite or in the while you're camping in that area, you can open carry. Going to and from and during fishing. So if I'm walking from my car uh, with my fishing pole and so forth and my gear, as I go to the place I'm going to fish, I can open carry and carry while I'm fishing, and then open carrying when I'm heading back to my car. And third, hunting, same thing. From my car to where I'm hunting, during hunting, and on the way back. So those are the times here in Florida that you're allowed to actually open carry. So there's a lot of YouTube channels where they'll carry an AR-15 as they're walking to a pier to go fishing, and it's obviously and they always get stopped. People are like, oh my god, he's carrying a gun, blah blah blah. And the law is very specific, and a lot of the cops don't know the law, but there's a lot of cops that do, um, which is funny because one guy was watching, the game warden showed up and the cops were like, he's got to, he goes, yeah, that's the law, he's fishing.
Yeah, he's not breaking the law. That's
He's
the
not
thing.
breaking the law. You have no right to detain him. Besides, this is my jurisdiction. Go about your business, sir. Have a good day. So let's talk about the different carrying formats. I mean, you have ankle holsters, you have pocket holsters. Like one of the things I carry every day is this. It's a pocket holster. It fits
I'm about to
right
say
into the pocket.
that looks like a taco.
It almost does, right? And so this fits right inside. And I have a 5-shot 22 Magnum pistol in there. Matter of fact, when I pull it out, as I'm holding it, it actually activates a laser. It's got a ported barrel. It's actually really nice. And yes, it's actually in there right now. And then the thing I absolutely love is I carry this. Now, this
Your
is
man purse.
it goes over your shoulder like this, and you carry it right here on your side. I'll see if I can turn this down some. So, what I love about this is when I pull down on this badge, it opens it up.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, you got that. So you can tear and draw at the same
Yeah,
time.
exactly. And there's a holster here.
That's
this
awesome.
holster, and then there's 2 mag containments, and then I put my knife there. But this holster fits a Glock 43 perfectly. So I carry this all the time, but it's also got a ton of pouches to carry things in. I carry my ID and my credit cards here, and then in the back it has another pocket. I'll send a link to Jason here to put in there for this, and it's really inexpensive and it works so well. So
the one thing I like about that, you were talking about keeping your ID in there.
yeah,
Like if you're in a busy area, your ID's in there. It's not like you're going to get your pocket picked, right? Because everything is right.
exactly.
And if someone can open that thing up and grab your ID and all that stuff out of that,
They deserve my
damn
credit
good.
cards.
Yeah, they're damn good.
But so what I'll do is I'll carry the pocket thing in my right pocket, and I'll carry that. So I have 2 firearms on me at all times. So my buddy Mike, who I got Rob's Zombie Slayer rifle from over in the Eugene, Oregon area, and he attends this show from time to time and watches. We're hopefully going to have him with us at SHOT Show, but he has that same thing, and he's the one that showed it to me. And I'll be putting a review up on that because I did a review with his when I was out in Oregon when I was picking up my rifle. It was also when I hit my 1,218 yards. First time in my life I shot that far, and it was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, if Mike shows up today, that would be awesome. But Mike's a great guy. He teaches long range shooting, and got to meet him and his family, and stayed with them for a couple of days, and just a wonderful human being. So if you're at SHOT Show, definitely try to find us, and we'll have lunch or something together, and it'd be really really awesome. But so those two things that I use daily. So when I put on my jeans, that's light there. No one's ever guessed that there's something in my pocket. It looks like a wallet. The bulge is actually less than my normal wallet that I would carry.
Oh, I thought
And
you were
then,
going a different direction with that.
well,
Sorry. You're talking about bulge in your pocket. I
yeah,
went a
yeah,
totally different direction then. But
that
no,
joke was a little testicle.
it was a little, yes, it was. Um, well, we got a question out there from A Dubs. Hey, brother, thanks for joining us. Actually, I do not know who's making a copy of 511's Select Carry. Um, I like 511 gear. My pack, I should have grabbed it. It's back in the closet there somewhere. I actually have a backpack that's got a holster in it from 511, and I like their gear, especially their bags. But honestly, I don't know, and I don't understand why they discontinued that, because that seems to be like where everybody's going again. But yeah, I don't know if anybody finds out. Just throw it out there in the chat.
Exactly. So a lot of people like to do the soft waistband ones. There's concealed holsters. Um, in uh, in Arizona, they have open carry. Texas, they have open carry. There's a lot of these different things, and it I tried an ankle holster for a while, and it was
I
uncomfortable.
can't stand an ankle holster. I'll be honest. I really can't. I swear it's like, you ever see like a dog when you put like the booties on the dog in the wintertime and they're like they can't feel the ground. I feel like one leg just like is weird. Like I'm gonna walk in circles. And I know some people that have ankle holsters, they swear by them, but for me,
I
I can't
Not a
stand
fan.
it. I think it's the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
So the one that I put over my shoulder there is called an MTAC, Tactical Bag Shoulder Chest Pack with sling, concealed carry for a handgun, and this is the Gen 2 version of it. And here is a link in the chat, and there you go. And
Cool.
it currently is selling on Amazon for $30. And like for here, it's 1 day shipping. And they have different colors. They have blue, black. I got the black Gen 2. There's coyote, gray, green, olive. Yeah, I absolutely love it. But if you want a really nice concealed carry bag that holds everything for you, there's that link.
So we already established you got the sling, the sling thing. The Hey Krabby, what's going on, brother? Thanks for jumping in. So you have the sling in there. Have you ever tried like a backpack holster?
No.
No. So that's the thing that I have from 511. I have a backpack holster. It's got Yeah, it's driving me nuts because I know it's in there somewhere in the closet. It's got all kinds of crap from the range in there. Uh, but it's got like a concealed carry. Mine has a concealed carry permit. It's got a zipper in it. It's got a holster that's velcroed in there, and then you have the gun on there. It's great for off-body carry because people have backpacks. And it's just not uncommon. I actually run that pack even when I go to like SHOT Show. I just take the holster and everything out of it. But I love backpacks just because things are a little more. We're used to seeing backpacks, right? I mean, for me, I remember back in the '90s when fanny packs became. Krabby was just talking about fanny packs there. Um, when fanny packs came out, for me, when I saw a fanny pack, it just screamed gun to me because I knew
Really?
everybody was carrying a gun in them. Yeah, it did.
See,
I saw.
to me, it just screamed geek. But
We see. I remember I was talking to somebody about that, and we were talking about, to me that just screams gun. He goes, yeah. He goes, when I go like somewhere else, I go out and buy the cheapest, most touristy fanny pack in the world. Like it might have like a logo of like the theme park or whatever on it. And he goes, because everybody's looking at it going, it like tourists, right? They're not thinking gun. They're just thinking, okay, yeah, it's just a tourist thing. But no, it's for me, I think backpacks are just a little more natural. Um, and I like them. I just like I like the backpack holsters personally if I'm going to do an off body carry.
but the
Um,
question is how fast can you get to your weapon with the
pretty
backpack?
pretty damn quick,
As
actually.
fast as the one I have on my sling?
No, not as fast as on your sling, but
Yeah,
I also don't have a man purse too.
it's not a man purse.
um,
It's
no,
the
it's
over the
just
shoulder
for
rock
me.
and roller.
Just for me, that is it's just more it's more me, right? Um, I used to work for a bank, and I'm not that I'm condoning or condemning companies who don't allow you to have your firearm on you when you're at work, but yeah, my backpack came right in with me, and no one ever knew. For the 5 years I worked there, no one ever knew that every day my firearm was with me. When I get into the office, I put my backpack in my desk, lock it up in my desk because there's sometimes I'm in meetings. I'm not going to leave my firearm behind unattended. But yeah, no, it's just for me. If you're looking at something like that, think of what's you, right? Is this me? Like Lupo, I could totally see you with that. That's you. That honestly, if I put a backpack on you, I think it would look weird. It
You
just
know, I don't wear a lot of backpacks.
yeah,
It,
that's
it
why I can't see you with a
yeah,
backpack.
it I just um my back gets all hot and sweaty, and I just don't like it.
See, that's the one thing I like about mine is they have this padding in the back, and then they have like these air grooves going through the padding, so that you get some airflow in your back. Because that's one
Well,
of the
my
worst
backpack does
things.
that too, and I still get all sweaty.
Well, you're also in Florida too. I'm in Montana,
Yeah.
so
No,
um,
DJ was talking about carrying a camel pack. Now, I do have a couple of those camel packs, and you're right, there's space there. But the way you carry, so the whole purpose for a concealed carry is so if you need to get to it, you get to it quickly. With a camelback, you could absolutely carry there, but if you need to get to it in seconds, it's really not going to happen because of how those are designed to fit on you. But I mean, you could absolutely do that.
there it is. I finally found it. I looked back there enough times I could see the pack. So I mean, this thing's got all kinds of crap in it, all kinds of bags. But yeah, for me, I don't carry with both shoulders. I always carried with one shoulder,
One shoulder.
and that's the thing is right here in this compartment. You open it up. There's where my firearm is. So I'm halfway unslung anyway, to where my firearm is pretty damn close.
So
Um,
it's basically an oversized man purse.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a
So I
it's a
mean,
man,
you carry it like I carry my sling. You could even put it over
pretty
your
pretty
neck.
much to it.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty
it's just
much.
you have a lot more space. So yeah, now if I carried a backpack like that, I would absolutely see that as a possibility.
See,
And I see all these different holsters, right? Like I said, I mean, you and I both don't like ankle holsters. I just find them
yeah,
uncomfortable and bulky, and then you have the tactical belts, and the tactical belts allow you to carry like I don't like drawing from the back, and I don't. And then I
yeah.
have one that actually attaches. It goes down the front of your pants, like off to one side of your leg, and then you just
But
grab the top.
is that one of the urban carries?
Yeah, where you grab the top, pull
Yeah.
it up, and it pulls the gun right into your hand. I have one of those, and I've worn that on numerous occasions. Very comfortable. But if you're wearing skinny jeans, that is not for you.
Yeah, you see, my body type is not a skinny jeans kind of person, so I don't
And
really.
neither is mine. At least not anymore.
But that's the thing is like skinny jeans people are not wearing those. They're wearing like those belly bands now.
Yeah, so I have one of the belly band ones. I bought all these different holsters to try to figure out, get them on sale and try them out. And I have discovered that the two things I love the most, like I said, Mike just introduced to me recently, and I mean I carry everything in there. I can put my phone in it. I can have my wallet in it. I can have and then the credit cards on the top part here. So if I need my credit, I just pull it down and grab my credit cards. It holds everything I need conveniently, and my firearm. It has my firearm. Look, and then I have two spare magazines and a space for my knife. Everything right there, and it's comfortable. It's absolutely comfortable, and nobody looks twice at it ever.
Yeah, well, see, then what you do is just put a ham radio in there, and yeah,
I have a ham radio that would fit
I
in
I,
there just
I know
fine.
you do. I know you do.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
If anyone doesn't know, I'm a general class ham radio operator, um, which means I can go on HF and talk around the world.
yeah, I got to start studying for my general. I got the tech. I need to start I need to start my general. Actually, I've started studying general several times. I just never finished it. Now, one thing I had like on that backpack, I had to take it off um, because I had a fly. But one thing I do is I always have like a multi tool on that pack. Um, well, mostly because I'm going in and out of data centers back when I was doing that stuff. But it's always nice to have a multi tool and with you. And so going into this is beyond multi tool. What about a knife? Do you carry a knife with you?
Always.
Yeah.
In fact, I have one in my bag, and then I carry this one in my pocket. It's hard to see, but very nice knife, lock blade. That goes in my pocket, and then the one that's in my pack, and this is the one I carry in my pack. Usually goes up a lot faster than that, but it's a nice little wood one. It's a good utility blade. This was a gift from a good friend of mine, so I just kind of carry it all the time. Um, and Yeah, it's kind of hip. Also, here in the state of Florida, uh, automatic blades are legal if you have a concealed weapons permit.
Say we just repealed our switchblade laws here in Montana last year. So we can have switchblades. Before we could have switchblades as a kit, couldn't be assembled. Now we can have switchblades. Um, but no, I'm the same way. I have the assisted opening, right?
Yep.
I've got several of these, and it just seems to be like, I mean, God, I've been carrying. I'm thinking about it. I think I've been carrying a knife since I was like 7, like every day. I mean, God, I used to carry a buck knife when I was in school. Um, it
Yeah,
just
me too.
it was just
Or
one
a
of those
Swiss Army
things I
knife.
never
That
had.
was my knife of choice. I loved my Swiss Army knife. My God.
Yeah, I had Swiss Army knives as well. I loved my Swiss Army knife, but for me, I loved my, I don't know, I just like my buck knife better, just because I think it was bigger. But the inner geek in me definitely went to the Swiss Army knife because it's just, well, you got a toothpick and a tweezer and a saw. It was just always was great. And that's why DJ Play Nice is talking knives, pocket pack, armrest, and glove box, and toolbox in the car. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way there too. I've got my knife on me. There's a knife in the car. Uh, I have a backpack in the car that's got a med kit and some basic tools. There's usually a knife in that. Um, and then yeah, I also, the other thing I have in cars, I have a seatbelt ripper. I have a window smasher and a seatbelt ripper. Um, that's usually in the armrest, so that way, if for some reason you're in an accident, you can cut away a
Yeah.
seatbelt really quick and then smash the glass to get out. But and I don't have
I
them
have
here,
one in
but
my car that does that.
yeah, and some of my knives even have glass breakers in them as well. So that way you can break the glass. Of course, looking at some of those glass breakers, um, I've never wanted to go bust one of my windows, but I wonder if, after an accident, if you're going to have the strength to actually punch a window with it. You know, after you're done trying to breathe again from the seatbelt catching you and squishing your lungs in you. But yeah, it's that's the thing. Gary's talking about carrying the Swiss Army knife at work for several years. Amazing how many times I think they do. And so Gary was also, he retired from IT. It's funny, you get IT people, and generally all of us have knives, if for nothing else, for opening up boxes, right? I mean,
Oh God, yeah.
how many
So like,
boxes or servers or
so
parts have you undone, opened
the
up over your
Gerber's
career?
taken over the Swiss Army knife now with techies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Swiss Army knives are great. The, Gary, if I ever sunk a car, I did once. Getting out isn't as easy as you would think. No, Gary, I haven't sunk a car. That would definitely be, man. If I was on fear phobia, put me underwater. I'll freak out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't imagine getting out of a car because you can't. Yeah, it's yeah, yeah. It would freak me out because then once you break the window, the water's now coming in. So, what buck model? DJ Play Nice was saying I carried a 310, the Stockman blade, 3 blade folder, wanted a 110 really bad. So, yeah, I carried the Ranger, the Buck Ranger. So the 110,
I had
and
no idea what I carried because I never bought a knife until I was older. These were all given to me by friends or family members. I have no idea what models. It was just cool.
I had a. What's funny is a couple of years ago, I'm trying to look up there. Oh, I know where it is. It's in one of my range bags. So a couple of years ago at Shot Show, I went to the Buck Knife. So on Friday is a short day at Shot Show, and Friday is the day that I do my fanboy stuff, right? Because I'm working all the way through, and then Friday is usually where I'm just fanboying on things. And I went walking into Buck, and I'm talking. I'm just looking around at the knives and and the guy, one of the guys came walking up, and he goes, uh, he sees the media badge. He's like, okay, well, you're media. And I'm like, yeah. I go, I'm a gun guy, but it's Friday. I'm just fanboying. And it was really relaxed in the Buck booth. And I met the CEO, whose last name is Buck. It's his family, and we got talking about things. And I go, yeah, my first knife is the Buck Ranger. And he goes, well, it was just the birthday of the Buck Ranger, and they gave me like a modern version of the Buck Ranger that's got carbon fiber sides to it, super light, and it was like awesome. Um, but yeah, I like the buck knives. Definitely the buck knives. But I carry most of the time I carry Smith and Wesson knives, mostly because of the price to performance ratio is pretty good. I've never busted one up. Um, but no, that's the thing. There's so many good knives. I remember when I worked at the bank, I had a new employee, and I went over to talk to him about it was his first day, and we ended up having to get like a new desk chair for him. So we went out and got a new desk chair, and we're going to go open it. I pull a knife out and go, and open it. And he's looking at me, he goes, well, hell, if I knew it was that type of place. He's super into knives. Like, I mean, he can geek out on knives. But yeah, um, knives are cool because they're they can be so unique, but they're such a handy tool for everyday carry. I remember I think it was like at Lowe's. I was trying to get something, and it was like it had bands around it. I didn't need the whole thing. I just needed like one or two out of this. And the guy from Lowe's was like looking all over the place for a damn knife to cut the bands. And I'm like, hey man, I could take care of it. No, no, you can't do that. And he goes off to somewhere else. By the time he came back, the bands were cut, and I was already in line
Yeah, there you
my
go.
purchase. Like, I'm not waiting around anymore.
So
Uh,
we've talked quite a bit about like concealed carry. Um, so we've talked urban. Let's talk about outdoor carry.
yes,
What? So it's a totally different subject matter because my Glock 43 9mm for concealed carry is fine. My 22 Magnum's fine. But when I'm camping or if I'm going to be fishing, I mean, remember, I'm here in Florida. We have gators.
yeah,
you know, um,
yeah.
my dad.
You have dinosaurs that just don't
Yeah.
you can't negotiate with.
So my dad, when he passed away, left me his outdoor carry weapon, which was a 4.54 Casull in a shoulder holster, and yeah, he got
Yeah,
that after he got cornered by a bear in Alaska, which stood between him and the front door of his house. So he used to call it, this was his gardening tool. If he's
yeah,
going to go out and do gardening, he'd carry his gardening tool. Um, but it's a totally different story because it really is dependent on where you are and what type of wildlife is out there.
yes,
Like for me, in Alaska, that 4.54 is spectacular because that's going to take everything down that could come up to you. But here, I would open carry like my tourist judge has my 45 long Colts and my 410s with slugs in them, and that that's efficient enough, to protect me pretty well. It's a 5-shot revolver. Ironically, so is the Casull, a 5-shot revolver. But you could also carry like a 1911 or anything
I,
around there.
it's funny because as much as I like 1911s, I actually don't recommend 1911s for outdoors.
Yeah,
Um, Mostly because the 1911s that are built now, a lot of people go out and buy a really nice 1911. Nothing wrong with that, but the tolerances are so tight on those things that if they get a little bit of dirt or mud in them, they are not going to cycle.
Yeah.
When I used to do my camping and backpacking in Pennsylvania, when before we moved out here to Montana, on my pack I used to carry my Glock 17 with me. That was sufficient there. When I first started doing outdoor activities here in Montana, um, I carried it, but that's very underpowered out here. Um, so we mostly I carry 45s. Sometimes I'll carry a 357, but most of the 45s are just not my 1911s. And then
Yeah.
when I was a
Well, like a
dealer,
Glock
one of
and
the
a 45,
what
APC would be fine, and Glocks
well
aren't
it
gonna jam theoretically.
well what they carry here is Glocks and 10 millimeters. That is like the woods gun out here in Montana.
Really?
Yes, 10 millimeter is so 10 millimeter. You're basically getting a 357 Magnum in an auto cartridge. So you're getting the ballistics of 357. So yeah, Glocks and 10 millimeters rule the woods out here. I don't have. I just finally got a 10 millimeter this year. I still got to do the video on it. It was sent to me for a review. But for me, it's my 45, a 40 or a 45 or my 357. When we used to go out logging out here, because we heat the house with wood. There was a time I was out cutting, and my wife was like, stacking stuff and stuff like that. And then I remember I was just cutting, and I was like, you ever get like the weird thing like you're being watched?
Oh yeah.
And like I'm cutting, and I just stopped, and I'm looking around. I see my wife. I'm like, okay, cool, she's there. And I start cutting, and and like 5 minutes later, like I got that thing like I was being watched, but it wasn't over here. It was now like over here. And I'm like, I'm really getting kind of creeped out. So I'm like, all right, it's time to go back to the truck, get some water. And I remember my wife came up to me. She goes, "See, something's out here." I go, was it over here? And now it's like over there. She's like, yeah, like we're out. we're gone, right? So we threw what we cut into the truck. We threw a chainsaw in there, and really it was going to be really helpful that the 357 was in the truck, and I was like 400 yards away from the truck. Um, so we got back home, and a couple of weeks later we found out that a wolf pack was reintroduced into that area that we were locking.
Row.
So yeah, so it's one of those things of um, just like everyday carry. The gun does you no good unless it's on your body. Ever since then, no, like the gun
Yep.
was on me.
And I mean, and that's really something that people don't understand. People are like, "Oh, I carry all the time." Things that places you shouldn't carry or leave a firearm. Like never leave a firearm in a car. My old roommate, she used to keep her gun in like the center console, and she would just leave it there, and it would just always be there. And I'm like, most
Worst place to
criminals
look at.
get
That's the worst
guns
place to look
from
at. Yeah,
cars.
yeah.
It's where most of them were stolen from. Your car gets broken into, that gun is gone,
You see, that's
guaranteed.
like well, that's like why I was when I worked at the bank. That's why my gun came with me, and then I secured it in my office. Um, Cause it's so funny because I remember they later changed our rules at work where we couldn't even have them on premises. They couldn't even have them in the car. And I'm just sitting there looking at the parking lot, going, "That car's got a gun in it. That car's got a gun." I could point at all the cars that still had guns in it. It's like, yeah, it's just not going to work. But yeah, that's the thing. Is you don't want. You're still responsible for that firearm. If it's not, if it's not on you, it's better be secured somehow, right?
Exactly.
Um, that's why, like with the backpack was always with me. Um, and when it's not, it was locked up. It was locked up in my desk. Not that it was hard to defeat that lock, but again,
Exactly. So let's ask our viewers here. Um, if you conceal carry or if you outdoor carry, what do you normally carry? What do you normally carry? How do you normally carry it? And let us know for like urban. So like if you conceal carry in like the city, what do you normally carry, and how do you normally carry it? And then for urban, what do you prefer to take out into the woods or while you're fishing? I mean, and it's different because when I was fishing in Montana, we would carry a snake charmer with us, a 410 single shot with
That's
birdshot in it. And it was a rattle, and it just fit over your arm perfectly. So you just went pow and take out a rattlesnake. So,
and that's
yeah,
a
let
thing
us
here, right?
know.
Because that's the thing here is that it's I would take a 45 with me, but that rattlesnakes are a thing here, right? So you really need to prepare on what environment you're in. Usually, I'm in the woods. It's not where I was. The rattlesnakes really. I'm more worried about bears and cats, but there are areas in Montana that we need to have. We need to do rattlesnakes. So for that, I would carry the 357 with snake shot in it, just
So
like your
my
410s.
dad would carry a 22 revolver with shot, shot
Yeah.
in the shells, and he would sit there and he'd be fishing, and we're out there. He called the place Rattlesnake Creek. Oh, and it was a bit of a drive from Bozeman when we lived out in Bozeman, and he carried his, in like a Western holster, and he's sitting here fishing, and I'm fishing, and all of a sudden my dad just not even looking, just put it out, put it back in, and I'm like,
It's like
the coolest
nothing.
thing I
It
ever
doesn't
saw.
even phase. It didn't even phase him either.
Nah,
Gary says he carries a 6-hour P365 and then inside the waistband holster. In the summer, he's wearing shorts. He might pocket carry a Ruger LCR in 38 special. So I carry Sig P365. Sometimes my P365 XL. And baggy shirts. And then in the summertime, sometimes I have a Taurus TCP. I know Gary and I could have a whole thing about the Taurus TCP. Um,
oh,
and
real quick, hey, Gary, I carry the firearm that's inside this is my pug in 22 WMR as well. So that's a pug, but the pug I have has the built-in laser and ported barrels. But yeah, that's what I
so
carry, Gizzard to
yeah,
Gary.
my winter carry, I usually carry the larger guns just because
Yeah.
we've got a lot more wearing to wear out here. And Screaming Skull Saloon out there, thanks for dropping by, brother. CC10C P10C or P10S loaded with 9mm Black Hills Honey Badger for urban and outdoor up north here in Minnesota. Carries Glock 20 loaded with 10mm Underwood Extreme C. There it is. The Glock 20, the 10 millimeters come out. Those things are amazing for outdoor. Yeah, it's funny because we talked a lot about carrying on our body, with pistols, but there's also these things called truck guns out here. um, and that's just kind of the thing. My truck gun out here was my M1 Grand. People used to laugh at me with that, and I was like, well, look, it did kind of win a war. So it's 30-06, 8 rounds of 30-06, and people are like, what are you gonna do after 8 rounds? I'm like, man, if I haven't dropped it by then, I can swing this damn thing like a baseball bat because it is like 14-pound rifle. DJ Play Nice is outside the waistband Walther 9mm. See, I prefer outside the waistband as well. I just inside the waistband, they're okay, but I prefer outside. He also does a Smith and Wesson M&P 45C, J-frame 38. That's like an all-time classic everyday carry right there, a J-frame. NAA Mini 22. Not all at once, but in rotation. Yeah, it would be funny, right? I should Oh, I got a YouTube shorts I got to do now, Lupo. All right, I'm gonna have like 10 holsters on, then maybe throw on a shoulder holster, and just do a YouTube short of like drawing guns and shooting all these guns on there. Um, Here in Omaha, it's also in Lincoln. It's open carry isn't legal. The whole rest of the state can. Screaming Eagles. There's a black bear yeah, we have black bear, mountain lions, wolves, and wild dogs up north here. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff that we do. We also have the grizzlies that we got to worry about. Um, yeah, DJ Play Nice is egging me on with doing that video. And Gunmetal Guy, man, good to see you out there, man. It's been a while since I've seen you on anything. The two of us just our paths just do not cross anymore. Thanks for joining us. But
You know
yeah,
who we haven't seen that's
I
always,
I I I know I've been looking for her. She has not chimed in yet. She could
yeah,
be out there
she
stalking.
hasn't
She
missed
could.
since we started. Vanessa
I
Kitty is
know.
always here.
She could be just stalking us out there too and has not chimed in. Um, but yeah, just looking at the stats here, we're at 45 minutes. We have 2 people on Lupo Outdoors and 6 on the Rogue Banshee. It's great. Yeah, DJ Play Nice. Yep, Vanessa Kitty. Yep, she is MIA on this. Hopefully she's
Yeah,
doing
which is
good.
unusual because she always jumps in, at least by now.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no,
Um,
we love her. She's wonderful.
and Screaming Skull Saloon says, "Oh, and Moose." What's funny is my wife and I were out for a drive last Sunday. We just kind of went out for a drive, and what's so funny is we saw a moose crossing sign, and we're just like, I remember looking at it going, "Have you ever seen moose here?" At least where we were, and apparently there was a moose because it was a fairly new sign. Um, but yeah, and the reason why I was going with the truck gun is, you know, out here and you know other places where you're up here in the north, we have this white stuff that comes down from the atmosphere, makes things really nice and slick. And when I first moved here to Montana, I learned about a pack, a kit for your car. And then so in you have some like some kind bars and some nuts and stuff, stuff that'll store, and then also blanket, right? Because you could wreck a car in a snowstorm here, and it might be a day or two before you could be found. And when I started doing that, I started putting guns in those packs too, just because you never know. And the sad thing is I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about the 4-legged animals. It's the 2-legged animals I'm generally more
Yeah.
nervous of. But yeah, so yeah, screaming Skull Saloon's been chatting with Vanessa Kitty for several years. Yeah, she's awesome. She really is awesome. Um, man, the adventures that she has had in her life are just absolutely, like, she's lived a life of outdoors. So so Lupo, on you, because you're the only person I know that's been in all 50 states. You spent at least 2 weeks in every
In every
state.
state, plus
Um,
completely across Canada from Vancouver to New Brunswick.
oh, see, that's new. You never said that one before.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So
Vancouver, New Brunswick.
like, I know, what you had in Alaska was way different than what you had in, well, yes, California. But what's the weirdest thing for everyday carry? What state would you think was the weirdest thing for anybody to do everyday carry in?
What's the weirdest state for an everyday carry? I'm
Yeah.
not sure I understand your question.
Like you would have I mean, you would have such the weirdest restrictions on carrying that you would go, I'd rather not carry, or you would rather just go out with a knife than a gun, because
Oh
you've lived in some pretty restrictive states.
my. Probably the most restrictive state that I've dealt with was California. Excuse me.
Well,
Excuse me.
while he's well, bless you. While he's doing that, everybody knows that California just signed on a 20% tax on guns and ammo. Thank you so much
Crazy.
for doing absolutely nothing to curb gun crime.
The
But
money will
hey,
go
look,
in politician pockets. That's all it is. It's just another way for them to get more money for
yep,
themselves. They're garbage. So in California, it's near impossible to get a concealed weapons permit. It You had to show a legitimate reason to be able to, to get one. So in other words, one of the things is that you had to own a business and that you are transporting on average more than $3,000 to the bank every day. Um, so you can get a concealed weapons permit. And I know a few people who had them, but there was one sheriff, because you had to go to the sheriff's office to get your concealed weapons permit. And there was one sheriff up by the border of Reno. So if you petitioned through him, right? He would like, absolutely, it's your constitutional right. So he would, but it was so hard because you had to drive up there, you had to go and talk to him personally, you had to fill out the forms there, and so that was a long ass drive.
well, what's funny is I know what you're talking about, because a guy I used to work with, he moved here from California, and we joked around with him like, dude, you need to get the California tags off your truck as fast as possible. Um, but he worked for that sheriff's department. Um, he was not a deputy, but he did. So his you still have to have a reason, right? So it was like a dollar amount. So he would his argument was is that he always had a large amount of gear for outdoors that equaled like $4,000 or $5,000. Sheriff's like, you're good, and that's how he got his. It didn't need to be cash; it had to be like cash or goods or a combination of it. And he's like, "Yeah, that's I've always got that much gear with me, and I need to protect it." He's like, "Yeah, you're good."
Yep, exactly.
And
It's
then
I don't know. It it's interesting. I mean, the problem I have with a lot of the restrictive states is, people like to state that, our gun violence is so high, and throughout the world, we're way up there. We're in the top 10, um, and we're so free about letting people own guns. But someone pointed out that if you took the states that were completely run by Democrats, um, and those specific states had the high, where the gun laws were the most restrictive and had the highest gun crime. If you remove those states from the statistics, um, we're actually at the bottom of gun violence in comparison to the rest of the countries out there. And I thought that was really interesting. So you just remove like New York, Chicago, Detroit, and California, and instead of being in the top 10, we're in the lower spectrum. I don't remember where he said we were, but that should tell you
that's
something.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting, because I've never heard that somebody actually worked the statistics out for that. So I'm gonna have to go find that, because that's a that's a thing, right? I mean, we have the stuff to protect ourselves. I was just reading earlier today was that the mayor of San Francisco now wants to do drug testing to pick up your welfare checks,
Yeah.
um, because the drug epidemic out there is so bad. I mean, where's it? Was it Philadelphia? I think I read today that they're like, hey, yeah, these like supervised open air drug markets, yeah, we're not that's just not going to fly anymore. Um,
Nope.
so some of these things is they have these policies that are kind of contrary to your personal security, but they say it's hey, we got to have this free society. Well, yeah, but you can't take if you're going to do that, you can't take my ability to protect myself away from it. DJ Play Night says, pro tip, always carry a little bit of paper money. Some jurisdictions still have vagrancy laws. A couple of bucks, you never know. I give people $2 bills for $2 for 2A. That's awesome. Yeah, I always recommend people carry some cash on them anyway, because you never know, like if a credit card machine goes down and you're trying to get some gas, just got to get home, um, then you're kind of screwed at that point. So always carry a little bit of cash with you. That you don't have to go nuts with it. Um, Even like just $40. $40 should get you. Wow, depending on gas prices, $40 might get you a tank of gas. It might get you half a tank of gas.
Yeah.
But at least it gets you a little farther down the road. Um, and then Gunmetal says those stats make perfect sense to rational people. That's the thing, right? He hit the kind of the nail on the head with that. It, it's sometimes you look at what politicians do. Well, I'm not even going to say some politicians. Just about every politician does. It's not very rational. They're very good at being irrational. But yeah, stats make perfect sense to rational people. I agree. But I also say at the same time, look at the raw data when you can, because sometimes you can massage the stats one way or another.
Absolutely.
I think we caught up with all the comments there.
So we have about 3 minutes left here. So let's talk about open carry states for the last 3 minutes here. I found it interesting. I was in Arizona, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we had gone to Harley Davidson. She was looking to buy a motorcycle, and I'm sitting there, and we're walking. Guy just gets off his bike, walks right in, and he's got a revolver on his hip. Nobody
I
even
would
blinked an eye.
I would expect that at a Harley Davidson store, though.
No, I mean he
Just saying.
rode
Just
with
saying.
it on his hip. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's open carry there. So
Well, you see,
yeah,
that was the same thing here for when before we got the permitless carry. It was open carry here, as long as you weren't within city limits. There, we did have the restriction. But if you're hauling ass down the interstate, um, you could get in trouble for having the gun in your glove compartment, but not for having the gun on the front seat. Um, Not that
So,
many cops
so
really
when I was a
get.
kid, when I was 10 years old, growing up and living in Bozeman, I saw people carrying firearms all the time.
When we first moved here in 2000, right here in Helena, right, and the state capitol, we would see people walking around with 6 shooters on.
Yeah,
It was so funny. What's so funny? It was like Sunday. It was like their Sunday 6 shooters, because they're dressed up with their bolo ties and their hats. They're going to church, and they got their nice chrome 6 shooter on. It's
yeah.
like they had their Sunday 6 shooter. But yeah, no, it's different when you get into open carry. When I lived in Delaware, we had open carry. It was so weird when I saw someone open carrying a gun at Home Depot. So Delaware had open carry. The problem was is if someone complained, you could be arrested for disturbing the peace. Couldn't stop you from carrying the gun, but you could
Yeah.
be arrested for disturbing the peace.
It's lame.
It is. It totally is.
We are in our last 30 seconds.
Cool. Well, in our last 30 seconds, why don't you, if you're on the Rogue Banshee show, channel, make sure you check out Lupo Outdoors. And I'm doing all this backwards because it's different on the TV screen than here. And if you're on Lupo Outdoors, make sure you check out the other channel as well. It has been great hanging out with everybody on Friday. I know this is a subject that could go on forever. And we're only here on a Friday, and we want to get you guys back to your family. And thank you for joining us once again. I have another podcast that's coming out on Sunday. Check it out. It'll be at noon Mountain Time. And Lupo, what you got coming up?
I am going to be working on a new video right now that I did when I mentioned Mike earlier today. I have a video that's coming out called The Quest to 1,000 Yards. And it's basically the first time I ever shot 1,000 yards or more. I've been a shotgun competition shooter forever. So shooting 1,000 yards was not something I ever considered, and I got into long range shooting. So I basically bought a 6.5 PRC rifle, and the guy I bought it from, Mike, gave me some lessons, and he took me out shooting, and we sighted in at 100 yards. Then I started nailing the steel targets at 350 yards. And then day 2, we tightened up my groups at 350 on steel. Never missed any targets this whole time. And then I shot 1,218 yards, and 2 shots right next to each other at 1,218 yards. And it's basically, a video about the quest and what I went through, and, what I learned. We talked about, learning how to do the wind and judging the wind and compensating and adjusting your dial and what tools you'll use. So that should be coming pretty soon. But I have a ton of review videos that are going to be coming out really, really soon, including a brand new bicycle holster from Falco. So if you're not a member of my channel, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Lupo Outdoors, and let me know what type of things you'd like to see reviewed, and what you would like me to film, and I'll jump right on it.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, have a great weekend, man, and thanks for joining us for the past hour and hanging out with us.
All right. We'll see you guys later, and tune in next week. What are we going to talk about? It's your turn to decide.
I decided this one. It's your turn.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah. The person sitting on that side chooses next week's topic.
We're going to talk about bass fishing next week.
There you go. Awesome. So check us out next week for bass fishing.
All right. We'll see you later. Thank you all.